Now, look, it is a nonsensical proposal, but look, just moving on, what about these rorts in relation to the National Disability Insurance Scheme, where organised crime groups are believed to be stealing NDIS entitlements from Australia's most vulnerable? Senator, we've got agencies and bureaucrats galore, so how can this happen?
The way the system's been structured, and I will not have Labor come out and say, oh, well, blame the coalition for this to happen. Sorry, Labor has much to blame for this as well. I've been screaming about this. I actually reported one woman who got $650,000, approximately that much money, in a year. She spent $54,000, in a matter of days. She paid for tickets to a corporate box, over $40,000 to a football match, paid for by NDIS. She actually flew people out from America, her family, on not private, but business class, bought alcohol. It was never thoroughly checked out. Why I say it's a problem both is that it takes all the states and the federal to actually change the legislation. The states have refused. Guess what? Coalition government, state governments. They were not working together. Hopefully now with Bill Shorten under a Labor government with the Labor states, they may start to do something about it and rein in the waste of money. You've got people on NDIS who shouldn't be on NDIS. You've got people charging nearly $200 an hour for services that they provide to people on NDIS, yet you don't get that in other areas. So people who are veterans or people in other areas who require those services, they're not going to get them because they go to NDIS first, because NDIS pays a lot more money for it, even for nursing, registered nurses, all the rest of it. Their fees are too high. It has been ripped off by the providers and it needs a full investigation. So it's just not the criminals, Jake. Yes. It's the providers as well.
So Bill Shorten is the NDIS minister. Will you make representations to him?
Yes, I have. I've spoken briefly to Bill prior to the election. I came across him at the airport, and he's actually, I spoke to Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister, with regards to this. He said to follow up with Bill. I've worked with not only the former ministers, Stuart Roberts and Linda Reynolds, with regards to this, but I've spoken on the floor of Parliament. They knew I was angry about the waste of monies here. They've really done nothing about it. It's increasing all the time. The whole thing needs a complete overhaul. You can't have doctors putting people onto the NDIS scheme without a thorough investigation whether they are eligible for it.
Yeah,
people
that's
are
right.
On it,
whether they're legitimate. Yeah, whether they're legitimate. You're spot on. No, it's a worry, and it's a worry that we're just discovering this now. I mean, this scheme's been out for years. So, look.
About 5 years ago, Jake.
That's right.
I sat down with them. At the time, they said it was going to cost $2 billion a year just for administration. Now we've got over 520 or 30,000 people on it. It's costing us more than what Medicare costs for the whole of Australia. Go figure.